I wanted to give a little garden update here on June the 27th, 2023. As you know, this is the first garden that we've had in this space, and it's definitely some pros and cons. Some things we've learned, some things that we could improve on. One of the challenges that I had was with some poor germination rates, partly because we've just had this cold, terrible, dreary summer. And because the summer here is so short, I don't think I have time to do the fill or the succession planting like I would if I lived someplace more temperate. In other words, a lot of these are just one-shot deals, and so where there were gaps, there's just going to be gaps. That being said, the stuff that is growing pretty nicely. There's some really nice bok choy there. There are some peas. There's the Chinese pink celery, which is doing pretty darn well. The onions, on the whole, are doing well. Like, they do need to be topped and spooned in order to, I think, really get some big onions here. But all in all, I'm pretty stoked about it. The lettuce is doing pretty well. There's the piggies, and I think we're gonna be okay. The cabbage and the broccoli, things like that, we really struggle with just because they needed to be planted in March, and quite frankly, we ran out of time to do it properly. But it is what it is. There's some tatsoi, some strawberries in here. Let's see, what else do we got? There's some carrots. So is all this gonna grow? I'm not sure. There's some parsnips. One thing I really like about these beds is the ease in weeding them. For the most part, we're keeping them pretty weeded, and then just feeding the weeds to the chickens or the hogs, and everybody enjoys the little greens, because there's not a whole lot of greens floating around this property yet, because we've yet to been able to plant much lawn or anything like that, because we're still under heavy construction for the 5th year in a row as we carve this farm out of the bush. But in any event, I think this garden is going to produce some food. I'm hoping to obviously have some food for sale. That was the whole point of this, not just as a family garden, but as a market garden. And we'll see. The one thing that is definitely interesting here is, with all the rain, we've had this mold slime, which I'd never seen before in my life, and I didn't know what it was. It looks like literally a dog came and puked all over the place. Here's a perfect example of some. And apparently it's harmless and it doesn't hurt your plants, but it's all over the place in the garden here, and pretty gross. But that just comes from living in a year when it's just constantly rainy. There's another little chunk of it there. That's a little bit older. It looks more like that when it's fresh, right here. I mean, it just literally looks like somebody puked all over the place. So in any event, other than a few little issues like that, I think the garden is coming along pretty well, and we're gonna see what we can get out of this thing here. It's quite a bit of work at the end of every day to tend it after a day of construction, but I enjoy it, and I'm gonna try to make it better and better each year. By this, you can see the soil has started to subside in some of these beds. They were full to the top, but as the manure, etc., has started to break down, you can see they've shrank quite a bit, so we'll have to fill them back up at the end of the year. And luckily, I've got a good source of cow manure here on the farm, right? So anyways, all right, that's just a quick update on the garden here at the end of June, and we'll just see what it does.